Hello everybody, welcome to Drexel University's 2016 Spring Collaboratory, an open space where everybody can kind of play with some technology, expose everybody else to the cool things that are going on in hopes to make education a little bit more of a fun place. So if you follow me, we're we're in the PISB, the Papadakis Integrated Sciences building. Nice beautiful bio wall. We just had our Drexel E-conference today. So we're going to go walk around and see what people are doing. So come on, let's go. Hello, Krys. Krys, may I talk? Welcome. We're webcasting the Collaboratory, so we're walking around just kind of discussing what everybody's doing. So you are the lucky number one.
I'm lucky number one.
So Krys, tell us about PowerPoint Books.
Well, PowerPoint Books was a solution to the 50 to 60 slide deck of bulleted PowerPoint slides. So what we did was we decided that the instructors could write in chunks their lesson and then use different types of media to help make it more interactive. So students can turn the page when they want. They have a way to backtrack if they need. They can click on videos, they can replay them, and we also have audio.
Oh, very cool. How have they been received so far?
As our instructors have reported, excellently. Students like it. I think what they like most about it is that they can go back and reread sections. We also have knowledge checks there, so they can check their understanding as they go along.
And I think I read it's a plug-in that actually works with PowerPoint, correct?
Right. The way that we use PowerPoint, and then this is a plug-in called iSpring. We use iSpring Presenter. There's different versions of it, and we use that to convert it to HTML5.
And then this is something that your staff does. This isn't something the faculty puts together, correct?
No, the faculty would create the PowerPoint, and then my colleague and I do the processing of it, clean it up, fix any typos, and then set it up so that students have easy access.
Very cool. Do you know if there's anybody else on campus that's doing this?
I don't think so.
Well, hopefully we'll find out maybe. Do you have a little demo? Or are there any kind of a cool little, is it more just like a self-navigating thing?
Self-navigating.
But maybe like one of the cool like media augmentations?
Let's see if I can get over there. I'm paging through. Okay.
There you go. There's something, a little question.
Yep. And if I get it wrong, okay, I must select. I'm going to say true. I don't know if that's correct or not, but we'll see. It's actually false, so I made a mistake.
That's okay. You didn't know the content. You know how to put it together.
Yeah. So we're able, one of the things that's cool that we're able to do is that we can have scrolling, like if it's too much text, we can actually scroll. So there's a scroll bar that's built in. I don't know if it's going to...
I've never seen too much text on a PowerPoint before.
Really? But also we're able to embed videos, and I'm not sure this one, I think it was changed. But we can embed videos, and when I say embed, it's actually a link, but it comes up into the screen so that students can view it. We also give an extra link to the external resource just in case that there's a problem.
Great, so it's a good way to kind of like engage and add those learning activities, which everybody wants to put in. So great. And what college do you work for?
Work for the College of Medicine, the Graduate School of Biomedical Sciences and Professional Studies.
And I think I was reading your overview. You said something about the one thing that's tough is with your information is that it's so dense. Yes. So this kind of helps put it in a little bit more of a digestible format.
Right, and I think the best thing is that students can go back and reread. It's up for the entire semester once it's introduced, so they can go back and use it for review, and they love it.
Oh, good. Well, thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
We're going to move on now. Next, we have Ashley. She's going to talk to us about mobile app for maternal and child health. I've heard a little bit about this because I think our team in Learning Technologies, they helped design it. So Ashley, tell us a little bit about this.
Well, the maternal and child health class, this is where we use the app for our field experience. And so the app really, we used it in March. And so during this time period, during our field visit, our focus was more on cultural and linguistic competency. And so as far as like the app, it was usable on like multiple platforms. So I preferred the tablet as far as my field visit. And so there was a pre-assessment to test our levels of cultural and linguistic competency. Then we had a site confirmation, so the professor wants to make sure that the person actually visited the site. They can talk to the person in charge, and they'll send them a confirmation email and contact them just to confirm the students weren't like skipping the session. And so during the whole like site, there's a whole like list of things to look for within it. And so as far as like, we would make sure the mission and values of the site location match up to the cultural and linguistic competency, things that we were looking for, just to make sure the values and mission align. And so we would observe signs, make sure in multiple languages, make sure certain people maybe are bilingual for certain populations that were coming in to see like certain patients, because I went to go see a hospital in particular. So the site also has a share feature, so you can share what you did and make comments on other people's like photos. It's kind of like a social media section overall. And then at the end there's a resource section depending on your site, and then at the end there's the whole evaluation section. So all that information is gathered and sent to one person, and like a whole collaborative team gets together and just to evaluate the app and see like if there can be any improvements.
So they're using it in practice right now, and then as they use it, they're kind of making it a little bit better, tweaking it, and it's really like kind of like a cloud entry base, so everybody knows what the same information are entering, and then everybody kind of compare and contrast. Very cool. How long have you been using it?
For our class, it was in development for most of our class, so we used it for about a week for our field site visit. But I would say overall it was a great app, and we really enjoyed using it, and I think it would be great to see what happens in other departments, because other departments are interested in using the field, using it for field site visits, just to make sure that the same mission and values are still aligning with cultural and linguistic competency or other areas that they're looking for more interest of.
And what college is the maternal and child health out of?
This is in the School of Public Health, and specifically more the Community Health and Prevention Department.
Very good. And then the one part of the whole collaboratory idea here is that it's all about collaborating. This is a great example of collaboration because Drexel Online's Learning Technologies group worked with the School of Public Health to create this great app. So thank you very much for your time, Ashley. We're going to go over here to Dan and see what's going on with accessibility. Dan is usually a mainstay of this collaboratory. This is the regular one-stop shop, so he's always a steward for online accessibility with all kinds of educational components. So what are we going to feature today?
Well, I'm going to tell you about a presentation that we did for the first time today as part of the e-learning program that's gotten a lot of really positive comments, and we're excited about them because they're not just positive, but they're being very specific to the things that we wanted to hear coming from the presentation. Very quickly, what it was a demonstration of JAWS, J-A-W-S, which is a screen reader that students who are blind content, and it's terrific that such a tool exists, but it's only effective if the content that it's trying to interpret is created with accessibility in mind. We've been telling this to people for years now, but today we actually demonstrated it with the screen reader, and we showed what happens when somebody is using the screen reader and the content is properly marked up versus if the content is not properly marked up. Elaborate a little bit if you like.
Does it sound like Charlie Brown's teacher?
Does it sound like Charlie Brown's teacher? Wah, 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 yeah. We use this example. If you have, say, a Word document that happens to be the syllabus, and you're using the screen reader to read that syllabus, you need to know when spring break is. Those of us who are sighted will look down that syllabus, and we will not read everything on the syllabus, but we will look at headings to find the content that we need, and we'll make certain judgments based on those headings and find that information. If I'm using JAWS because I'm blind, if those headings are properly marked up and JAWS knows that they're headings, then I will skim that copy to search for the information the same way somebody who's sighted would. But if those headings just look like headings, the text is big and bold, but they're not properly created as headings, then I would have to read through that whole syllabus to get the information that I need. So if we're talking about information that's contained on page 9 of a 15-page syllabus, that's a huge endeavor. Making those headings in Word is very easy to do. You just use the little menu at the top of the right that says Styles, and you will see that drops down and you have headings level 1 through 6. If you use those and apply them to the text will look like headings, which is what you want, but it will also be semantically designated as headings, and it will make sense to the screen reader. It's a huge boon for the usability and the accessibility of the content, and we're pleased that we're able to use JAWS to bring that issue home. It's one thing to tell folks that, but when you actually show it to them, it just blows their minds, and that's what people have been saying. I've heard this stuff for years, but actually seeing JAWS demonstrated made a huge difference.
And then I guess, does that help once they see it to get them to actually do the work? They see how simple it is, and then it helps everybody in the long run?
Absolutely. So in the example that we were just using, the Word document, following the best practices, in other words, using that drop-down menu of headings, is going to be easier than selecting the text and deciding how big you want it and how bold you want it, and then deciding that's one heading, but the next heading should be a little bit smaller. That's very labor intensive. Using that drop-down menu of 1 through 6 makes your job a lot easier.
Very cool. And Dan is also a member of our Learning Technologies group team, and he's always able to answer any questions you have about accessibility, because accessible advocacy seems to be a challenge, but the biggest thing is get the word out first, make people understand how it can be done, and then the ease goes from there. So thank you very much, Dan.
Thank you, sir.
I'm sure I'll see you around. All right, let's go see who's over here. Let's see if Andrew would like to talk to us. Krys, may I interrupt?
Yes, you may.
You can even ask questions if you want.
Well, no, Andrew can talk, and I will listen.
Hello, Andrew. I'm Kristian Reid with Learning Technologies Group. We're doing a webcast on the Collaboratory. So tell us a little bit about New Instructor Bootcamp, what you're here to talk about.
All right. So, do you want me to take it? Okay. So, what I'm working on, or what I'm codifying here, is an informal process that I've been using with colleagues at U Sciences and elsewhere to get people prepared to teach online in a short period of time. So, every semester I consistently have folks who say, oh, well, I just got hired to teach this course, and it starts in 2 weeks, and they told me, by the way, it's online. So what do I need to know? And usually, once I start sketching out the mountain they need to climb, they start freaking out. And so this process, it's a two-hour trainings to get people up to a basic speed of what do I need to do? How do I need to change my syllabus? What do I get into the course at the beginning? And to start thinking through, what does it mean that technology intermediates all forms of communication in an online course? How do you change what tools you use? How does that change how students relate to one another? How does that change student engagement? And I'm totally wedded to the understanding that I can't teach these people this in 4 hours. What I can do is start the ball rolling, and then as they go forward through their first semester, they'll start having some of these epiphanies for themselves, like, oh, yeah, I really don't want people submitting assignments through email. Or I really need to use a forum to manage this type of communication because it's just not tenable when I have 30 students who all want to ask the same question. And so by the end of the semester, a lot of those seeds I've planted have germinated, and they say, oh, okay, now I know what I need to do the next time I do this. But without these sort of seminal meetings at the beginning, they're not in a position to do that at the end.
What do you think is the biggest hurdle that the faculty have grasping or understanding, and really like when later on they get the aha moment? But is there any like certain areas that you really think are like commonly the toughest thing for them to absorb?
Usually it's the bias against online education. If I have somebody who I'm working with who doesn't like online education, when they come to me, I can't make them like it. I like it. I like it as a student. I like it as an instructional designer and a technologist. But if I can't convince them that it's great, they need to find out that the one-on-one interactions they have with students online can be just as powerful as they are in the classroom, and they have to learn that for themselves. And so that's the biggest hurdle, to get people to be open to, yeah, there's something here that's worth examining, that somebody who spent 30 years behind a podium and is really used to being the center of attention, being in a self-effacing position behind a computer is going to be very different. And that the feedback from students that's valuable and affirming is also going to be very different, and to sort of set them up to look for where that value is going to be and what's going to make it a valuable experience for them and their students going forward.
Yeah, it's ultimate. I mean, I deal with the same stuff with learning technologies and producing multimedia for classes that are delivered online. It's almost like a cultural shift. You have to look at it like two different things. They're just as good, but they're two different people. Have you done anything with like peers that have taken your class, then turn around and showing the next group of teachers, oh, I've done it. This can help, almost the idea of like your peer telling you might help break the ice?
So in this case, I have not actually gotten to that point yet. I've worked with people over the last 4 semesters doing this. And in every case, it's sort of the online instructor ER. That's why I call it a boot camp. It's what you need to survive. And then everything else after that is development.
Is it a live presentation you do, or do you use?
It's typically one-on-one or one-on-two. And in that case, it's intended to be very personal. It's about your syllabus and your course and what you value in it and how we can best adapt that to the online environment. So it's not a prescribed thing. I have beats in my discussion outline that this is what we're going to talk about and sort of the order, but all the content is really about them. And the subtext of the whole thing is this is achievable, it's doable, and I'm here to help you do it. So you're not out on your own, which once we start the conversation, they feel like, oh no, this is all going to be on me, what am I going to do? And reassuring the faculty member that it's not just on you, we're here to support you, and we want to make this good for you and make it a good experience for your students.
Very cool. Well, thank you very much. I hope you, wish you good luck on more than 4 hours. Maybe we can make it a little bit bigger.
Well, we do continue to meet after the initial 4 hours, but the prescribed part is the 4 hours. Thereafter, it's much more fluid.
Good. Well, thank you very much. Nice to meet you, Andrew.
Likewise.
Okay, let's walk around and see who else we got going here. We'll go. This looks interesting. There's cats. Hello, Amanda.
Hi.
Welcome to the Collaboratory webcast. So this is Amanda and Larissa, and I think they're talking about how to compete with the cat videos your students are watching. Tell us about what you got going on here.
Well, do you want me to grab this? Okay. You want to hold it? How's this work?
I usually hold
Am I on e-news? Do you want to hold it?
There we go. I'll be the mic holder.
Let's go this way.
There we go. Perfect.
So the sad part is you can't really compete with the cat videos that your students are watching because they're so good, right? But the key really is, for my part, Larissa and I we're a joint effort. We do like asynchronous lectures for LeBeau. I work for LeBeau College of Business. So best practices, keep your lectures short and sweet. Let's try to keep them high quality. We gave tips on lighting, audio, quiet space, maybe get a nice backdrop. So I did that really with the online lectures for online hybrid, and then some of our faculty use it in face-to-face. So really, we tried to just get everybody into our events, so you can't really compete with the cat videos because they're so darn funny. But
so is yours more consulting faculty on how to best produce their own content, or is this stuff you're telling them how you go about producing your own content? Because I know you do kind of both, right?
Yeah, so both. Like we started with, hey, this is how we do it, and then we ended on this is how you can do it on a budget. And we talked about even if you have your iPhone, you can do it, but find a quiet space, or here are some simple webcams, and then microphones we have on the table of these are like $20, get them off Amazon and you can do them at your house. So we tried to kind of do both, yeah. And then Larissa's promoting her studio because they just have a new one in Corman with IRT, yeah.
Yes, the more video studios on campus, the better.
Yes.
That's always good. Well, thank you very much, Amanda.
Yeah, no worries.
And we'll talk to Larissa about her promoting her new studio. This is, you're promoting your new studio, right, I hear?
Yeah, sure.
So tell us about your new studio for all the Drexel audience watching.
Do I have to hold this? Okay, thanks. Good. Our new studio is in the basement of the Corman Center where the computer fixer used to be. It's a shared space with some other IRT folks like networking, but we have 2 contained offices that we turned into. One is a video production studio, and the other is an audio studio / editing suite for us, where we can at least work quietly and contained. It's soundproof for the most part. As long as there's not like a lawnmower outside or the elevator's being worked on or something like that. But yeah, we've been booked solid since we announced it, so that's pretty cool.
So what kind of stuff are you doing in there?
I just finished a very long project with the School of Public Health. They're doing a series of training videos. It's actually kind of a big project. It's for a citywide I don't know what you would call it, a citywide plan to make Philadelphia a trauma-informed city. So they're doing these trainings on something called the sanctuary model, where Dr. Sandy Bloom, who founded the sanctuary model, uses it as like a clinical practice for dealing with people who've suffered trauma. And they're going to use the videos to teach like police officers, corrections officers, lawyers, social workers, teachers, community organizers, and everybody in between how to deal with, like I said, people who have suffered trauma around the city. And then I did another project actually on location, not in the studio, but I'll edit it in the edit suite for the School of, they're not quite a school yet, Hospitality and Sport Management.
They're a center.
They were a center.
It was official in the middle of name change.
To be becoming a school, but it's not official. And they don't have their dean yet because there's a nationwide search and all that stuff. So it's a marketing video kind of announcing the change, but they don't know what the change is yet. So it's not, I can't edit it yet.
Very cool. So you're doing, in your studio now, you're doing educational as well as some marketing videos. Pretty much anybody from the university can contact you and say, hey, we have a project.
Yes.
We'd like you to help us out.
We are a centralized department, so we don't discriminate. Anybody that needs us.
Well, no, I just feel bad.
We kind of have
But if you're business faculty, you can call me.
Yeah. Business only. We're open to whatever. We also have a psychology, it's like another marketing video, and some podcasts for the English department, for the history department. We're not entirely sure where they're going to be released or shared yet either, but we're doing audio recordings as well as video recordings.
Very cool. So this goes back to the idea of, like, as far as resources, they're educating people how to do it themselves. If you're faculty and you need to produce something yourself, they can help you. But as well, like our team, we're skilled individuals in multimedia, so they can help you produce high quality multimedia learning objects. Very nice. So what is this one on with the slides and the picture-in-picture?
Videos. This is actually what Amanda and I first collaborated on. We used her ISO booths in the studio to record, and then our team edited them, and we got the material from the School of Public Health officials that coordinated this. This is an outside presenter that they had come to record. It's communicating in crisis situations. So there's actually like a checklist that people would need to do, like in the event of an earthquake or monsoon or whatever. And he came with all of his own material, and we recorded the video. I did not quite a green screen; he was over the black screen, but I, keyed out the background, and they provided the slides, and he provided the, audio and video for that. It was a series of 10 videos.
Very interesting. And Ryan, if you can pan over here, since we're kind of in a collaborative space, this is some ideas on lighting. So tell the viewers about some tricks on how to get good lighting if you're doing something on your own.
Well, the biggest trick you can do is look what is behind you. And I think Larissa had some slides. We'll see if we can bring them up. But don't stand in front of a window. That's the easiest thing you can do. If you only have a window and natural light coming in, have it facing you. That would be the easiest thing. Try to find a room with maybe a bright room. But if you can put even any kind of either natural light or maybe even just like a little, LED that you can buy on Amazon in front of you to light your face, that's gonna be beneficial. So there's a lot of tips and tricks out there. You can reach out to us. We'd love to help you. I do have a certain way that I do it in my studio, but that doesn't mean there's not a way to do it on your own. Yeah.
Very good. My favorite trick at home is if you have a lamp, sometimes it's dark, you can take the shade off the lamp, and then you have a nice brighter light source, because cameras like light. Well, Larissa and Amanda, thank you very much. Enjoy the rest of your collaboratory. And until next time. We're going to walk over here and talk with Theresa. She's going to talk to us a little bit about Go Animate, another Learning Technologies Group member here. Teresa's going to tell us about Go Animate. Teresa, what is Go Animate?
All right, well, Go Animate is a web-based application where basically it makes it really easy for someone like myself who has no animation background to animate a lecture, presentation, or scenario, or case studies. And so I've been working with professors in the School of Education on animating their basically using Go Animate to bring their presentations to life. So that's essentially what it does. There's no specific engagement, but I think the animation factor makes it more engaging to students than a voice over PowerPoint or something like that, or just text.
I think I saw you in your write-up. You called it the jazz factor.
Yeah, it is a way to jazz up your PowerPoints. So something like this. I don't know if the camera can see it, but something like this, which you can have the person writing as if it was like a whiteboard, which is a little bit more engaging than just having bullet points up here. But what I've done is integrate this type of example with the animated factor. So it's really helpful when the professors are able to develop content that has very descriptive text, like a narrative, something that they're discussing. So in this situation, in this specific presentation, they're talking about like the history of special education. And that was something that was really easy for me to animate because it's very descriptive. And so you'll see in the next, let me move it.
While you're queuing it up, I think the one thing that's important with the things of this nature is probably the general student this time, or in this generation, is very easily distracted. Everybody's on social media, the quicker the better. So I think this is any opportunity to engage them and create interest rather than a voiceover-driven PowerPoint, or something with just a little bit more of a interest factor might help keep the students engaged.
Yeah, so here's if you can see this is the example of where the professor is then talking about how disabled students were excluded from public education. And right now we take it for granted that all students have access to free, appropriate public education. And what this is visually demonstrating is that disabled students, not just students who are in wheelchairs, but all types of students who are blind, students who had hearing impairments, they were left out of the public education. And so that's what the professor is demonstrating in this lecture, which I think provides the students with more of a visual than just hearing it and trying to visualize it themselves. So.
Now, is this a free source, or is it free software, or is it something our team has that you learn how to produce, or how does that work?
Yeah, so it's actually, people can go to goanimate.com, and there's a 14-day trial that's for free, but you do have to pay for it. And it's something that our Learning Technologies group does have access to. We have an account, and what I would recommend, if this is something that you wanted to purchase on your own, you would want to ask them about the educational discount, because that's what our team did. We said we work for a university, we got a couple $100s off, and I think it's about $600 for the year. So for us, it's a very good investment. I think that we've been using it a lot, at least I have with the special education courses. So it's good for like education or teaching type courses. I think it's maybe not for all types of subjects, but I think there is a place for it.
And again, like you said, it's a resource that the Learning Technology Group utilizes. And like Larissa said with her group, we are a university-wide support system. So if any faculty member would like to utilize this, if you contact the Learning Technologies Group, we can probably help you produce something like this for your courses. Now, is it usually driven by, what's the voiceover? So it's a voiceover-driven animation, but where's the voiceover coming from? Is it something that's recorded? How does that work?
So the voiceover can be recorded, and it's actually preferred that it is recorded because it sounds a lot better than their default robot voices that they have provided. So I have used the robot voices for, I did a scenario that had a bunch of different speaking parts. So in that case, it was easier for me to use the robot voices because I could use a male voice, I could use a foreign voice, I could use, just different types of voices to represent the individual characters. So that's a positive that the GoAnimate allows. You can use either the pre-populated voices or you can use your own voice. And then another thing is that with the characters, you can sync the voices with the character's lip movement. So that's also kind of fun to do.
And I would assume all the art is kind of built into the program. You don't draw your own pictures, right?
Nope, and I have no experience in doing that. So that's why I'm saying this is a very easy thing to do. Someone like me, I think, as you use it, you get better at utilizing the tool. But I have no background in this, no experience in this, and I think that I've done some really interesting presentations with the professors I'm working with, also very creative as well. So,
well, thank you very much, Theresa. What are you still doing here? Go animate. Well, thank you. Have fun. Follow us. Oh, I'm sorry. Pardon me. Ian, how you doing, sir?
Good, Kristian. How are you?
Wonderful. How's the Collaboratory treating you?
Pretty well, actually. I'm almost out of a voice. I don't know what time it is, but I'm hoping I don't I don't go hoarse
You
pretty
got another
soon.
55 minutes.
All right, well, I'll have to pace myself. But for you, I will talk as much as I need to.
Wonderful. All right, so what are we talking about here? This is Kaltura. Kaltura is how we serve all our videos at Drexel University to the students. So
So what I'm going to ask you is, I was just going to ask you, what do you know about Kaltura?
I know that it is a service where you can upload a video and then it can be served in our Blackboard learning management system, and then it can be put in any course, and then it can be a link that can be accessed anywhere. And then I've heard some rumblings about there's ways to put little interactive learning objects over top of the video, something like that.
I was going to say, Kristian, I mean, it is a place to host video. It is a place that instructors can actually record video right in Blackboard. It's all integrated. It's all supported. But it's so much more than that. And what Kaltura now has, and they just recently rolled this out at Drexel, is a quizzing feature, an interactive quizzing feature that you can build into any video that you've uploaded in the past that you want to upload tomorrow. You can put the quiz right in. So what I'm going to show you in here basically is how to do that and the little bit of a feature it gives you. And I think one of the main things, everyone wants video in their courses. But if you go look at the analytics, which Kaltura also provides you, which includes average watch time, the drop-off point, the most common...
Drop-off is very high.
Yeah, drop-off is, no matter what length the video is, it almost seems like halfway through the lecture people stop caring. We've got to find a way to stop that. We've got to find a way to keep them engaged the whole way through. And I think the best strategy for that is adding an interactivity. And one that's built in right here that even instructors could do without any further assistance is the quizzing feature. So
Let's check it out.
this is a Kaltura tutorial that I created to show instructors at the School of Law how to do screen recordings. It's almost Inception, you know, screen within a screen within a screen here. But you also have the features down here to add a quiz. And you can do this directly in Blackboard as well, not just on the outside Drexel Stream site. So instructors have access to it just as easily as I might.
For those that don't know, Kaltura has two different access points. If you're you can go in through Drexel 1 and you get what's called Drexel Streams, or you can go in through Blackboard, which is our LMS, and do the same thing. So that's what Ian was talking about.
I'm actually going to show you it in the LMS because it might be a little more accessible to people. So the same way they build content here and they insert a Kaltura media mashup, it'll show you your entire gallery, any videos that you already have. Or if you want to add a quiz or any other kind of media file here, you can bring it in right here. So I'm going to click Video Quiz. Now it allows you to select a particular presentation you want to add the quiz on. I'm just going to select the one at the very top here. So this is a good friend of mine, instructor in the School of Law, who was recording a virtual session with a former coworker of his in Florida. And it was attended by about 9 students, but we wanted to also post it for the people who couldn't attend it live.
Yep.
So for some reason you wanted to see what did they take away from this, if they wanted to reflect on it, or they wanted to see if people are paying attention to what his guest instructor was saying. You would be able to title the quiz, give a little welcome message, explain, is this going to be graded, ungraded, this is what you're looking for.
Is it one quiz per video, or can you put it at different quizzes at different stops in the video?
You can add as many questions as you like. Obviously, you have to be sensible about it.
Okay, so the quiz is the whole thing. Question.
It's one quiz.
5 minutes, here's a question. 10 minutes, here's another question.
Yeah, if you want to break it up that way, that's probably the best way to do it. And tips. The next
It's out like a little pop.
Kaltura says, and I have their handout down here, is that by the end of 2016, they hope to have integration with all major learning management systems.
So then you can even do it that way to make sure somebody watches the whole video.
Absolutely.
You put a quiz, they have to watch, and then they don't get credit for it until it's completely watched.
Absolutely.
Genius.
I know, right? It's great. So once you're done actually giving all those attributes to this video, and I didn't change any of them, I left them all by default, you now will begin watching the lecture. And I mentioned the 15-minute mark, so let's just go to about the 15-minute mark. So let's say the guest speaker here mentions something extremely important that you want the students to remember. When you press pause, this teal hexagon under be presented in a way I see it, and you can make those adjustments. When you click submit, it embeds it as the video directly in your course. And when you go and play that video, the students will get that welcome message saying they're going to be quizzed on this. That's going to make them pay attention right away, right?
Yes.
And throughout that, once they're done, they can also see what they got right and wrong. They can see a score if you choose to have one. And then the instructors will also probably see an uptick in engagement, an uptick in how long they're watching videos. And once the scoring is able to convert over to Blackboard, they can really see if the students are retaining that information that they're listening to.
Very cool. And I think the most important thing of something like this is, one, it's a service that everybody at Drexel University has, and the fact that you can add this to any video, it's almost, I guess you could look at it like it's almost like a skin that you're putting over the video that's already made that has all this interactivity on it. And I just think that's a cool resource that it's there. It's pretty easy to do. Now, you work for the law school. Are there any resources or anywhere, is there tutorials on this on the Drexel streams on how to utilize it for a faculty member for another college that's curious?
So right now, working for the Master of Legal Studies program at the School of Law, and the School of Entrepreneurship also has a fledgling program that I'm working with as well. We haven't utilized this yet because the quizzing feature has only been implemented for about a month. It can be used right now directly. I had someone in another department ask, like, can I go use this now? I said, absolutely, please do. I want to pilot it as much as possible, but it's really hard in the middle of a term to start adopting some things. So I think maybe for the fall, because the law school is semester-based, or maybe in the summer for some of the instructors in the School of Entrepreneurship, we might begin to see this, and then we can start measuring that as a pilot, seeing if it does increase user interactivity, as well as how long they're spending on these videos. If we cut down on the drop-off point, increase how long they're watching the videos, we can only hope they're retaining the information and that it's good information. But I will be more than glad to put a tutorial together, and we can share it with the rest of the university through Kaltura, which is another great feature of Kaltura. You can make things publicly listed, you can tag them, you can put them in playlists, and have a universal database full of any information that you could possibly want that is here at Drexel University, such a place full of engaging and innovative minds.
Yes, and back to what we were talking about. Back to what we were talking about with Dan. The idea here is we're kind of, and the main idea of the Collaboratory is we get the information out there so that everybody's exposed to it, so they know how it is, what's going on, what they can do, so that hopefully down the line it will become normal, commonplace that, hey, I throw quizzes on my videos all the time. So thank you very much, Ian.
Thank you very much, Kristian.
Yes,
enjoy the rest of your night.
I will. We're going to walk around a little bit more, but first we're going to take a break for a second, and then we will be back to see what else is going on at the Collaboratory. Thank you very much.
As track director for the MSN with the Innovation in Nursing focus, I look forward to the day that students who graduate with this Drexel degree have changed healthcare, have improved patient care outcome, have contributed to the health of the nation as a nurse.
I always was one of those that thought, gee, there has to be a better way to do this. So I thought of myself as being creative and always challenging the status quo. But to really be able to take that energy and inspiration and channel it to be productive and actually have a product, to me it was a slam dunk.
A nurse is innovative when they see a problem and they come up with a solution. They just haven't recognized the term. And that's part of my goal, is to make them believe that they are great innovators. They just have to do it.
I did something that no one else has ever done before. I made an ostomy app, and it's a big deal to me, and I hope that it's something that'll really help some other people, and maybe it really will be that thing that helps keep a couple of people out of the hospital because now they're reminded to do the right thing. And I'm excited about that. It gave me a chance to actually be that agent for change that we're always told we should try to be. I got to do that, and it was because of this program.
Well, I'm looking for a nurse who can think not just outside the box, but as our dean has said to me, there is no box. And therefore, the horizon is as wide as you want it to be. I think as healthcare professionals, we are dealing every day, personally and professionally, with colleagues and with individuals who are from all over the world. People
open to the world than when we went down there. We have so much to learn.
Okay, we're back at the Collaboratory. We're at the Tech Lending Library. This is Joel and Obina. They're other members of the Learning Technologies group. So can you tell, look at all this stuff, Ryan. Look at all this stuff. Right next to the broccoli. This Collaboratory is catered very well. Food helps feed technology. It's very important. But you'll see all these cool little gadgets, and this is part of the new Tech Lending Library. So, Obina, tell me a little bit about this Tech Lending Library. Or is it supposed to be Joel?
So this is a Tech Lending. It's a new initiative that Drexel University Online is partnering with the Drexel Library. So the idea is that we have all this cool technology that faculty can come and lend out from us. They get some help. We train them and help them integrate this into their course.
Great. Now, wait, what's this? We're going to demo some of this technology. We're going to try to. So what do you have in your hand, Obina?
This is a 3D scanner. The idea is that you buy one of these little scanners online for, I think I paid this $2.99 for this.
Or you borrow it from the Tech Lending Library.
Borrow this from the Tech Lending. And then it comes with a bracket. So you attach it to your smart device and you point it at anything and you start scanning. So while I'm going to be scanning right now, you can talk to Joel and he would take over from here.
All right, so Ryan, get a wide shot while I'm talking to Joel so you can see Obina scanning and getting a 3D render. Joel, tell me about it.
Yeah, so we're pretty much setting up shop at the Drexel University Library in Haggerty. We're going to be in the first floor. So if you walk in the front as a faculty member, you can go to the right, to the first room, second room on the right, and you can come in and we have the equipment listed in that space so you can rent that out. We're also going to be going to program directors meetings over the next couple months and seeing what kind of things people might be interested in and showcase some of this stuff just to get thoughts and ideas going and flowing. So we'll be doing the same kind of thing we're doing today live at program directors meetings all around campus coming up. So we're excited about that. So we'll move as fast as possible. We're going to show the same equipment. And also, we have more money to buy more equipment specific to what curriculum needs are.
And the main goal is for a place for faculty to experiment with this technology and find new ways to utilize it and make it work, right?
That's exactly right. So that's a good answer. So the idea is to sandbox it. So we're like little kids playing in a sandbox. And from there, we can come up with innovative ideas to transform the way that we deliver online learning or hybrid learning or even classroom learning.
Just learning in general, right?
We like to learn.
We like learning. Is there anything you want to show us while he's busy 3D rendering?
Quick show you this. I have a scale here that it does weight, it does heart rate, it does air quality. Does a bunch of different things, so it's not just a traditional scale. So I just pretty much have to take off my shoes, and then you'll be able to see what my weight is, which is hopefully not that.
And there goes air quality, right?
Yeah, no, air quality is gone. One thing about this is that it might not show my heart rate because my feet may be moist, my socks, from just being in these shoes all day, so that may not work. But you can hopefully check out, before I break it, a little bit of some of the readings that you get from this system. We're thinking that in the allied health field in hospitals, you would particularly in the future have this do a lot of different readings because it's reading through your feet, and you can get readings that you typically have to like strap something on your arm to get. And so nurses, it may transform into using this. So we're trying to get everybody ready for the idea that this may be the future instead of just doing the old school arm. And we have a digital stethoscope, so we might move to digital stethoscopes and things like that.
Now, Joel's also a member of the Learning Technologies group, and the maternal health app that was designed by Joel. So another former example of the collaboration going on in a university. And then maybe we could make an app that wirelessly transmits all the data once you step on it, so you don't even need a band.
Yes.
You get that one free of charge.
I'm hoping to.
I'm not going to charge you for that one. All right, so what did we find out?
So we probably found out that my weight was 157 and that my body mass index, I think it was 18 point something, and the air quality is quite good in here. Probably because of this wall on the side. I think the air quality is better overall with that wall.
It's true, the bio wall does it.
My heart rate would not show up because my feet were a little bit moist. So there you go. That's kind of embarrassing, right?
Okay, no, not really.
That live once, yeah.
Working hard.
Yeah, I'm working hard.
All right, let's go check on Obino. Joel, thank you very
Thanks,
much.
guys. Thanks for
Good luck
attending
with the
online.
Tech Lending Library.
Thank you.
All right, Obino, let's see what you got scanned.
Yeah, so there's too many movements in here, but look, if you look in here, I got my actor Larry over here. I just scanned one side of his face. If you notice, you have to really be extremely slow and steady when you scan it. Otherwise, you have to do it several times to get it right. But the good thing is, once you get something, you can reconstruct. And then once you finish, you get it right, and then you can send this to another more 3D modeling, to more experts that can then, fine tune it and get it ready for animation or anything like that. Or you can send this with a 3D printer. So you can print objects. That's the beauty of it. So the idea is now so you can have this, scan whatever you want to scan, and 3D print it, all at your home. So the technology is here.
Now, as you can tell, I think the technology is working on it, and you're learning the kinks in the system, so to speak. But I think that's another aspect of the lending library that's key. Not only is it open for faculty to come check out equipment, but there's people working with the Tech Lending Library that are experimenting as much as the faculty is to kind of help figure out how to make these things work, try and kind of bridge concepts to see where it would work for faculty. So they're trying it as well. Again, it's along with the Collaboratory, it's a big kind of sandbox, as Joel mentioned.
So I said where the location of this office is, and so the office is open right now from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. It only starts on April 1st of this year, so we're at our infancy here, rolling out this equipment. But our location is in the library, and it is 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. Monday through Friday.
And it was officially born at the Collaboratory. This was the first appearance of the Tech Lending Library.
This is it. You're seeing it live.
Remember that. Well, thank you very much,
Thanks, guys.
Have fun playing with all your toys.
Thank you for stopping by.
All right, let's go talk to Krys and see if he might want to talk to us about teaching spatial thinking with GIS applications. How you doing, Kristian Reid?
Hey, great to meet you.
Yes, tell me about what you're talking about here.
Well, we're talking about using GIS, which is Geographic Information Systems, and we're talking about spatial thinking is the conceptual idea behind relationships that exist in geographic data. So for example, when students have to do projects like find the ideal location for a new store for their products, they might find a lot of demographic information, and they try to put that together to find the ideal overlap between the products that they're selling and the markets and the people that they might buy those products. So in this case, I'm talking about a class that I did and worked with in design and merchandising, where we're looking at ideal locations to sell new products in a variety of different types of malls around the Philadelphia area. So obviously there's different characteristics and demographics of malls that exist in King of Prussia versus Rittenhouse Square. Right, so those products may fit into different markets based on these different demographic potentials.
Now, is this a program you designed yourself? Is it software you're utilizing? How does the workflow work with getting the data in there?
Yeah, this is Esri's suite of products that we subscribe to here at Drexel. This is the Esri Business Analyst Online that we have a subscription to. Quite a advanced product. There's a wealth of data on there, and students have access to that. In fact, we have a Drexel GIS users group that is around to help people get access to these online tools and to help answer questions. So it's a resource that we have here on campus, and we would kind of want to spread the word to have people use that more frequently and maximize its full potential.
What college are you with?
I work at the university libraries right now.
Oh, okay. So that there's not, I guess it's across, like you mentioned another course. What college was that course with?
Yeah, that was with CoMed, and there's also uses in a variety of different schools on campus.
Business, I would assume?
Yeah, there's business, there's CCI, arts and sciences, bees, for example, biology, earth science, environmental science. Everyone that uses anything geographic could really benefit from using this, including sociology and criminal justice and public health.
How long has it been around as a university service? Or
it's probably been around for at least 8 years or so, 10 years. Esri is sort of the leading software tool that's available, but there's other types that exist also that I feel compelled to mention. And these are open access tools that exist, including QGIS and Mapbox and OpenStreetMap or other versions of the same thing.
Now, is this, I would assume you go to the library and website to find access to this, or where would you recommend someone go to find out this information, how to start learning about GIS?
Yeah, great question. So we have a wealth of information on the library's webpage. If you want to go to our homepage and basically search for GIS or come up with information, it'll direct you to the information, resources, and how to access the information. And our friends at RRT are the people that provide access to the logins that you need to actually use the software.
And then you said there's a GIS users group. Is that what you said? It was like a club, I guess you could say? Yeah. How do you get to that?
We have some information resources on our library page, and it's open to anyone that's interested in GIS. You don't have to be an expert. If you want to find out more, you can come in. We have speakers, we have information sharing, we have hackathons and other things like that. And anybody can come by and find out more.
All right, one last question. Me being a visual creative and a video producer, is there any way to export this data into like visual, like for like animations and things like that we could use?
Yeah, definitely. So we're looking at the web product. So basically it's meant to make it easy to do some of the desktop applications, but there's a whole suite of desktop applications where you can make animations. And in fact, there's something that like Google Earth that's similar, very highly similar to that. And there's other variations called ArcScene that's available.
Is that a resource that's available to the students?
Yeah, it's
staff too?
Yes. Yeah, so this is the web version, and there's the desktop version if you really want to get into it and use it for other purposes. So yeah, animations, you can go, and there's 3D aspects of it as well.
We will be talking in the future, sir. Yeah. That's definitely. Well, Krys, thank you very much.
All right.
Be good.
All right, thank you.
All right, let's see who's left. Let's keep walking around. We'll see what else we got going on. I think we have maybe one or two left. Hey, Rocky.
Beta testing.
Hi. Would I be able to talk to you about this wonderful robot you have over there?
Thank you so much. Venus, very nice to meet you.
We're going to walk over and meet him over there because there's a robot. We have a virtual robot attending from Alaska that Rocky's going to tell us about. So, Ryan, if you look over here, I'm sure Rocky's going to showcase this when he's done in a second, but this is a virtual robot. This is one of our faculty members is attending from Alaska, so she has a virtual presence. And we're going to go on break until Rocky gets over here so we can talk about it. So we'll be back in a little bit. Thank you.
As track director for the MSN with the Innovation in Nursing focus, I look forward to the day that students who graduate with this Drexel degree have changed healthcare, have improved patient care outcome, have contributed to the health of the nation as a nurse.
I always was one of those that thought, gee, there has to be a better way to do this. So I thought of myself as being creative and always challenging the status quo. But to really be able to take that energy and inspiration and channel it to be productive and actually have a product, to me it was a slam dunk.
A nurse is innovative when they see a problem and they come up with a solution. They just haven't recognized the term. And that's part of my goal, was to make them believe that they are great innovators. They just have to do it.
I did something that no one else has ever done before. I made an ostomy app, and it's a big deal to me, and I hope that it's something that'll really help some other people, and maybe it really will be that thing that helps keep a couple of people out of the hospital because now they're reminded to do the right thing. And I'm excited about that. It gave me a chance to actually be that agent for change that we're always told we should try to be. I got to do that, and it was because of this program.
Well, I'm looking for a nurse who can think not just outside the box, but as our dean has said to me, there is no box. And therefore, the horizon is as wide as you want it to be.
There's actually a word too I always try and teach students before they leave. It's a Guarani word. It's rohaihu, and by the end of the trip most all participants have heard it and they know it, and it means I love Paraguay. And so that's kind of what I'd like to leave the students with too, to understand you're going down to provide a service, but by the time you leave you're going to be saying rohaihu Paraguay.
Pick you up, okay? I have permission. And just so you know, Karen, our backdrop, I thought it might be kind of nice.
All right, we're back to Collaboratory.
And I'm going to turn you around, and there's Ryan behind the camera.
This is Rocky, and this is Karen from Alaska. So this was not on the docket, but this is so interesting. We have to showcase this. So Karen Holt is an adjunct faculty for Drexel University and College of Nursing, right? Is that right? That's right.
And Karen teaches both in our graduate program for masters, as well as, I'm sorry, I've got to take this phone call, Karen. And you're going to have to cut that. My husband's having surgery, so give me just 10 seconds.
You got it. So can we still talk with you, Karen? All right, I got to find your speaker.
It's on the bottom left.
I think it's actually on the top. But so Karen, if you can, you're attending, and can you tell us a little bit about this device that you're working on right now? Or do you actually, you're set for the neuroscience of learning. So 'cause one thing I forgot to mention, hold on Karen, Karen is actually remotely presenting. So her and Kirsten Betts are presenting on the neuroscience of learning, which is the table over there. But since we have Alaska over here and she's in a virtual robot, we're going to try and so we can hear and have her talk about the neuroscience of learning. So Karen, tell us about the neuroscience of learning.
All right. Thank you, Kristian. I appreciate that. I am Dr. Kristen Betts from the School of Education, and myself from the College of Nursing and Health Professions did some collaborating over this past year, and we have come up with a group of 4 courses that we offer a certificate in. And the whole purpose was that it was supposed to be a collaboration. So we thought we would present at the Collaboratory between different colleges. So we have talked to the College of Business, the School of Education, the College of Nursing and Health Professions, and we're talking with 2 others to see if they want to join us in this certificate. And so you take a couple of courses, 2 or 3, in the College of Nursing and Health Professions that we are calling the core courses that everyone takes. And then you go back into your individual school. For example, College of Engineering is one of our participatory colleges. And you take a course there that is developed with using these neurocognitive principles from online learning. So actually, Kristen and I have coined it the online neuropedagogy, which is the science of learning using neuroscience principles in an online environment. So
Can you say that 3 times fast?
That's right. That's right. So what we're doing is we're taking technology and using it in ways that we know are going to create the response in the learner that we're looking for. So, for example, you see right now in our announcements, the very last part of our conversation was telling our students goodbye after this previous term. So we're using a technology dear and dear. So that's just a very quick example of how we're using technology, in this case VoiceThread, to actually evoke an emotional response in particular learners for a particular purpose. So that's the neuroscience part of it. We have announcements in Blackboard just like everyone else does. And then I'll also showcase another piece of technology that we're using with our neuropedagogy principles. And it's called a Padlet, using the technology Padlet. And what we did, because we are all online, is we had students create a Padlet. And after they created, it's in week 10, but we also are using the 3D Brain app as a technology for memorization. So in that case, we're just engaging the frontal lobe and the amygdala. So for that, it doesn't need to be a voice thread or a discussion board. It just needed to be pictures that students would name the areas of the brain that we were engaging. And then we have quizzes to test that whether they did that successfully or not. And then we go into Padlet, where the students can look at a Padlet. That's an e-poster. Just in case you don't know, we're using the technology Padlet to create e-posters. And so here's an example of 4 e-posters that we pasted on a Padlet. And then you can to grade them, I just go into this individual e-poster and then click on these items and grade it. Now, the advantage from neuroscience, not only is it visually pleasing, but it allows me to identify what area of content. In this particular case, it was about sleep, and there was a problem, or there was additional knowledge that could be learned about sleep that I realized the student wasn't aware of. So it allowed me to target the feedback back to her in terms of content and where she could improve what she was doing. So that's what we're doing. I'm going to stop sharing now and come back so you can see me. And that is what I can tell you about the neuroscience of learning.
Great. Well, just so you know, Karen, we did see you when you were presenting. You just got smaller. So you were there the whole time. So I guess with the neuroscience of learning, are you kind of trying to target different parts of the brain through one lesson so you can kind of engage all those different parts? Or is it more like you target one section to be effective and then you move on from there?
That's correct. This particular particular certificate, our target audience is actually teachers, people who want to teach. And so we are showing from the neuroscience perspective how it would be really awesome if you're trying to teach something that's going to be a memorization, like areas of the brain. I'm a nurse, so I'm going to teach anatomy and physiology. If I'm teaching anatomy is rote memorization. And so how I'm going to teach that best is by engaging the frontal lobe. So I'm going to choose a technology that allows me to engage that frontal lobe. If I'm teaching physiology, which is how a muscle works, where it is attached, that is critical thought. And in that case, I'm going to engage a different area of the brain. So that's what this course is about. How to identify what part of the brain you want to engage based on the kind of thinking you're asking the student to perform to understand that content.
Now, the first time I heard Dr. Betts talking about this before we did the webcast, I kept finding myself thinking about, like, people are visual learners, people are sensory learners. There are different ways that people learn, and then you try and teach to those benefits. How does that interact with this type of neuroscience? Because it sounds like it's more like factual, like memorization comes from this part of the brain. Is it different for visual learners than audio, or how do you approach that?
It is. It's like, are you looking at an organizational tool, which is looking at, do you have a visual learner or a auditory learner, a kinesthetic learner, or a sensory learner? That's about organizational skills, whereas what we're talking about in neuropedagogy, we're actually talking about function. So the function we're looking at is memorization, rote memorization, or it's actually critical thought, so we're looking at what is the outcome. It's sort of a backward design from a scientific perspective. Where's our end goal, and headed towards the end goal rather than just saying what's comfortable, how do I really like it. Now, both of those schools of thought are important and are usable. So I'm not saying one is better than the other. I'm saying they're different. One is an organizational tool, and one is how do you teach based on the content.
Well, that's all very interesting stuff. I might have to see how I can get in that program if possible. Probably not. But so now, can we talk a little bit about this wonderful virtual robot we have rolling around? Rocky might be able to help us with this, but this is wonderful.
I'm back. All right, Rocky, take it away. Tell us about the iRobot. So Karen is my good friend and colleague, and I've known Karen for about 7 or 8 years now, Karen? Here at Drexel?
A long time.
A long time. And we both teach online. I happen to live in Philadelphia, or close to Philadelphia, and I teach in Philadelphia, and I teach online. And Karen teaches for Drexel, and she teaches online, but she lives remotely. And some of our struggles within the university is how can Karen attend virtually? And so we've done different video conferencing issues, and some meeting rooms are great to do that, and some are very difficult because of the cost involved. And so about 2 or 3 months ago, I get this phone call from this company called Double Robots. Hey, we hear that you guys like to do things unique in college of nursing health professions. And I said, yeah, but there's really no academic function for this, and I'm not sure what we could do with it or without. After about 2 or 3 months of thinking about this, all of a sudden I realized, how do we feel connected to the university? How do we feel connected to each other? So I talked to the dean and said, hey, I want to give this robot a try. And I was thinking about how can our students feel connected to, our distance students feel connected. I teach online, and I have students that have been on probably 6 or 7 online courses, and when they get through with my course, they said, after my course, what am I doing different? Because they now know who their fellow students are. They've never really knew who they were. They saw a name, but they didn't put any presence to that. And I'm thinking, well, how do they feel about administratively with their advisors? How do they feel with their faculty to visit? And so we thought we'd give this a try. So the last month or so, our distance faculty would sign on with this robot and just attend virtually. Just come walking down the hallway and talk to an advisor, or talk to the supervisor, or talk with me. And then about 2 weeks ago, Karen says, Rocky, I want to go to this colloquium that she's known about and in the past has never been able to attend. She says, what do we need to do for this? Well, guess what? All I got to do is pick up this robot, have Karen sign off, pick up this robot, stick it in the back of my trunk, come over here, turn it on, boom, Karen can attend as long as there's a wireless environment.
You didn't put her in the passenger seat?
I did not put her in the passenger or the driver's seat. Sorry, Karen, you were in the trunk. But what's unique about this is now Karen can attend virtually, and she gets to decide who she interacts with, where she goes, and what's going on. And she was able to present, not only present about what she's doing with the neuro and online learning, the cognitive, whatever you're doing, Karen, cognitively and online learning, but she was able to attend the different tables and interact with people. And it was real simple and real easy. And I got to put a plug in here, Karen, because this is a little expensive. This setup, about $2,500 for the Segway, about $800 or $900 for the iPad Mini. But Karen, if you were to fly out just for this event, the airline tickets are what, about $1,500, $1,800?
Yep, from Alaska, they're right at $1,000, just the airfare.
Each direction, right?
Well, no, it's about $1,000 round trip.
Okay, so for $1,000 plus a couple nights hotel, we're talking $1,500, $1,800. So for 2 hours, all she did to attend tonight was 15 minutes, get in front of her computer, log on, and here she is attending from Alaska. And I'd be curious to how our students could do with this, to attend distantly, to interact with their advisors, interact with their faculty, or if they're attending an in-person class and they can't make it for whatever reason. I'm curious, what about prospective students wanting to come to Drexel instead of spending $2,000 to fly in and do whatever they do, attend for 3 or 4 hours, and I could show them around campus with this iRobot.
Karen, how much is this your first time working this rig, so to speak, this robot, or have you played with it before?
I did actually try it for a test drive twice actually before, but not more than 5 minutes both times. So this is certainly the longest period of time that I've used it. And I have to say it really does not have much of a learning curve on it. But I wanted to add also to what Rocky was just saying earlier from the perspective of the person attending remotely, as opposed to how I usually attend things remotely, which is on Zoom or linked up and Anytime Meeting, Adobe Connect. I can't tell you. I've probably done 15 different ones, all kinds of different parameters, and they're usually involved in a two-way discussion, so that's not a problem. Sometimes it's just a phone, you can't see me, but that's okay, you can still hear me. And sometimes you can visually see me as well as hear me, but it's really not the same as the robot walking around. And here's why: because I'm controlling where I'm going. I could go see whatever I wanted to see, but more importantly, everyone in the room knows I'm there. Whereas when I'm joining you remotely from afar, I'm back on a screen somewhere, and it's sometimes very difficult for people to realize that I'm there. Try as hard as we might, this time makes a physical presence, and it was definitely felt by me that it was perceived differently. So that was my big advantage.
So if I could add to this, not only can Karen control it, but Karen can adjust the height so she's talking to us as we're walking, or if we're sitting down in a classroom or at a desk, she can lower it and attend that way as well. And again, she's virtually present. She's in control of her visit here. And I think, again, bottom line, is it going to help a student pass a course or not? I don't know, but I think more importantly, the student's going to say, wow, I can go to Drexel anytime I want by just getting on my computer or just signing on my smartphone and go visit with whoever they want to visit with.
And I think it's definitely a question that should be asked and answered. I mean, we have the technology, why not? What, is it a proprietary video conferencing software? Like how
yes. So what happens is the Double Robotics is who sold the Segway, purchased the iPad separately, and we log on through their software, which is free, but I guess it's not free because you have to have the equipment or what have you. And you can log on, like it looks like a Google map, and you just go to the website, and it says whether it's in use. So right now, if someone went to the website, because we only have one of these, it would say robot in use. You just have to wait till Karen's logged off, and you could easily log on and do what you want to it. If we had 5 or 6 of them, they'd go to that same website, and you'd see the different robots, and whatever one is available, you just hop on and you go visit your advisor or your faculty. And again, what the only limiting piece is a domain. If we're on Dragonfly 3 and I went onto another domain, it would log off, shut down, and you'd have to log back on, but it would easily kick on.
So it's all accessing a wireless network.
Just a wireless network, and that's all we need is just the domain. So whether Karen's signing on with Google Chrome on her Mac or Google Chrome on her PC, or with an app on your smartphone, they could attend virtually. And
Is there any type of recording feature, or is it all just kind of live and gone?
It's all live and gone. There's no recording whatsoever. Some of the challenges, we've had a couple people a couple people say that it's so quiet that they almost sneak up on you, and there's some concern about privacy. But I think, again, the privacy, whether a person walks up quietly or, in Karen's perspective here, rolls up quietly, we just need to announce ourselves just like a human being would. I'd stand outside the office and say, knock, knock, can I come in? With this segue, I think you'd say, knock, knock, I'm here, can I come in? And I don't think there's any drawbacks. And what I think is exciting,
I can add from my perspective, there is a multi-viewer mode, so we could actually share the connection all on one robot. If there were 3 or 4 people that had permission, then one person could drive, but the other people could see that screen. And I remotely can choose to take a picture. For example, if I'm watching a presentation and I want to get a picture, as I would if I was in the room using my iPhone, I have the ability to do that.
So I guess what I'd like to end this thought with is, I surveyed the faculty before. Do you feel connected to the university? I surveyed them after, because I'm curious, will this help them feel a part of our community? I got some good comments and some less than good comments, but I think the less than good comments are related to the technology, the clunkiness. And again, I had 4 of them try it out, and 2 of them only signed on once. And how do you get comfortable with that new piece of technology to feel whether you're connected or not? And there was a lot of excitement from the people physically present to be able to get in front of and interact with whoever was driving the robot.
Well, it's very cool. I think one way you could solve the sneaking up, you just throw a little sound effect where you have clicking heels as you walk up on people. Or bells.
Yeah.
So the last question, Karen, do you feel more fatigued or less fatigued from attending a conference virtually like this?
I would have to say more fatigued. More fatigued.
Karen was on display today. I was watching her from a distance. I'm kind of her escort today. I really just wanted her to be able to attend and talk about what great things she's doing. But I think her attendance with this robot took away from what she's doing online. But I think we kind of expected that, and it definitely happened. So what I was watching Karen, she was on display, and she was hyper attending. She was talking to different people and being excited, and it was kind of fun and exciting, but I got to admit, I'm a little tired too, Karen.
Well, thank you both very much. Karen, I hope to see you in person again sometime soon. Enjoy Alaska. Rocky, thank you very much.
Appreciate it very much.
All right, see ya. Hopefully we'll see one of those in the Tech Lending Library soon. And we have one more person to check out, and then we will, yes, one more. Dana, how are you doing? Using Top Hat to drive individualized review. You don't have a Top Hat? No? Okay, so tell me about what this is about.
Okay, so Top Hat is a in-class and out-of-class question format where we can ask students questions during live presentations. We can draw on our PowerPoints to highlight different things within our presentations, and we can also collect data for our students from the classes. We can take attendance on the fly using Top Hat so that students will have an individual login number that they could just use for this attendance piece. I can take attendance again in another couple minutes, and it'll give you a totally different number. So that students aren't actually physically in the class, don't have time to get that text message from their buddy and text in from home. We can use it for a whole lot of different software. So this is my iPad, this is my Dell computer, and I can actually access it on my Android phone as well. So students in class can use their phones, they can use their iPads, they can use their computers to be integrated into the presentations. When we ask questions, those questions are preloaded most of the time from us, and the students can answer on their iPad or on their phone or on their computer. They would just type in that answer, or they could text in the answer to this phone number that's unique to this presentation in this course. After the course is over, I can look at that data that I showed you back here, and I can check the attendance of the students in the class. I can also check the amount of questions that they tried in the classroom and the amount of questions that they got correct or incorrect. Based on those questions, which we tag for content, I can then push out questions to students who didn't understand a specific concept or a specific piece of content.
So it's really about assessing what the students are getting and what they're not getting, and helping helping them to get what they're missing.
Helping them to get what they're missing. Now in Top Hat as well, what I can load when I find students having issues, and we get the same issues all the time, like I don't understand circulation, what's perfusion, that kind of stuff. What is, the thyroid gland? I can make up papers, actually learning papers for them, and this they can use as homework. They can do questions as homework that I push out to them. They can review the PowerPoints that they saw in class, right, with the correct answers overlaid onto that PowerPoint that they saw in class for review. And they can also answer questions that I've loaded in this review content. They can look at pictures, right, that I've loaded in to key in on specific things. If I'm looking at structure, I'm looking at anatomy. And they can also watch videos that we can pull from YouTube, or we can make on Kaltura, or that we can have in other video pieces. So, and then they can bring this to class, or I can actually see their activity on these papers in the Turnitin system.
So you're with the College of Medicine, I assume?
No, College of Nursing.
College of Nursing, sorry.
Yes.
So I guess take me through. So you have it on your computer, and then a student comes and sits down in class, and they have that open in their computer, and then it interacts with each other?
Yep, they can
or
have
their
it,
phone or whatever device?
They can have it open on any device, and they can answer the questions. If we lose Wi-Fi connection, they can actually text in on their phones. So there's a unique text phone number and a text entry point, and then they can text in the answers to any questions. The only questions in the system that they can't do that with is hotspot questions, where they would have to touch on the picture to tell them what the correct answer was. So if there was a question that was loaded in with this picture, and I said, touch the pinna of this boy's ear, they could do it if they were online, right? But they couldn't do it as a text question.
So do you find the students are kind of more glued to their screens while you're teaching them using this technology, or are they still making a lot of contact with you, I guess, with your circling stuff? And
Content because we are contact with us because we are up there circling stuff and saying, hey, look at this information and key in on this specific piece of this PowerPoint. Here's the information that we're going to be testing you on. This is the nice to know stuff. Here's the need to know stuff. And it's great that you can draw on it while you're in class. I can write out math problems because we're always calculating medication doses, right, for different meds. So I can write that out. All right, you guys are having trouble calculating pounds to kilograms. This is how we're going to do it. I can put it on the screen, and then I can have a screen capture and save that, and later on they can look at it when they're reviewing their notes. So they don't have to take as many notes if I'm actually writing on the PowerPoints.
Okay, so then I was going to say, so your presentation is screen captured, theirs is kind of ephemeral, it goes away when the class is over, and then you share the screen cap later?
Exactly. I share the whole presentation with any of the screen captures that I made during it, so I ship that off, right, after the class is over, so they have it for review for the exams.
Now, is this something that it's a service your college pays for, and then they offer it to the students in certain classes? Is it university-wide service and anybody can use, or how does that work?
It's not university-wide yet. It is within the College of Nursing, so we purchased licenses for the students. As a faculty member, you can just go onto Top Hat, log in, get an account, and set up an account, right? So then you go to your class, and you say to your students, I'm using Top Hat, you need to buy, a license or whatever, just like they would buy a textbook for your class, or like they used to buy clickers when we used ResponseWare, those audience.
So the students have to purchase the software as well. It's not like if we buy it, they have access to it.
If the college bought it, right, if the college overall bought it, then they would all have access to it.
Okay, so the students have access.
Class, right. But right now, I don't think any of the other colleges in the university have it. I know we did, we bought it, because we loved it. It mimics what the questions on the boards will look like. So they're going to be required to do hierarchy questions, like matching and true false stuff like that. That's all on here. I can do that. I couldn't do that with ResponseWare. I can do hotspot questions. I couldn't do that with ResponseWare. And the data that I can pull from the system is much more robust than what I could get with ResponseWare.
Is there any integration into Blackboard?
They've promised us that. Blackboard integration, they've promised, is coming. They're still working that out with Blackboard, but we hope by the fall to have the integration with Blackboard so that in the Grade Center, we can start showing participation grades and maybe mini quiz grades if we're quizzing them in class and things like that.
Does Top Hat house your screen recordings, or do you post that like in Kaltura with Blackboard? How do you deliver those screen recordings to the students?
The screen recordings can actually be delivered through Top Hat. We do, we kind of use a mixture of the two. So there's certain things that I may only send certain students to, so I'll load those videos in either from the YouTube integration or from Kaltura, and but the other things that I want all the students to see, I can load into Top Hat.
Very cool. That sounds pretty neat. So hopefully we'll see that university-wide. And I guess if anybody has any questions, they can contact you, right?
You can contact us over at CNHB, and we'll be happy to talk to them about it because we're really excited about it.
Yeah, it seems like a cool way to to interact. It almost feels like it puts everyone in the same playing field as far as like interactivity and answer this question.
It really does. And it kind of lowers that stress level for the students too, because you may get the question right, you may get it incorrect, but nobody's going to know. It's not like the whole class sees you got that question wrong when we show you. It's only afterwards when I look at the analytics that I can drill down into the individual student and see where their learning needs are.
And that's what's the most important thing. Make sure everybody's learning. Well, thank you very much, Dana. Have a great evening. And I did notice there is one more person we missed, so we're going to go talk. Can we talk with you? Can we chat? Can we chat with Ann Erickson?
I would love to have you.
Collaborative online writing. So tell me, what is collaborative online writing?
So it's writing that's collaborative and it's online. Mostly, I saw that we had this really cool wiki tool in our Blackboard Learn, and I thought, well, what could you use that for? And I found that one of the things it's really effective for is for writing collaboratively. It's one of the things we're going to have to prepare students for in the workplace. They're doing things collaboratively. We try to teach them that they're a community of writers and to emphasize that there's different parts in the process, all of which it's really helpful to have collaboration. Whether it's inventions, so this is one assignment they do where they list out ideas for topics. And as you're looking at the list that other people have already created, it makes you think of other things, and then you work off of that and so forth. So,
how close is this all to like markups in Microsoft Word?
So
that's about as far as I go with collaborative writing so far.
So
is that pretty simple?
Yeah.
Okay.
There's a lot of differences though. It's more probably similar to sharing a Google Doc.
Okay.
Than it is to that.
Okay.
Some of the differences, that's why I even have a little table about the wiki page versus Google Doc. The Google Doc is word based, so it's using the program, whereas Wiki is HTML based. So we can integrate visuals and document design and layout like HTML code.
Okay.
As opposed to using something this makes it also harder to do a hanging indent as a citation instructor, just straight out there, because you have that formatting in Word.
More than just typing, you got to learn how to do tables and have a little coding. And
well, I don't think there's a good way to do a hanging indent, but
I don't even know what a hanging indent is.
Oh my God! All right, go back to
the chart.
Setting. Yes, back to the chart. The one thing is you can only save it one person at a time, whereas a Google Doc you can be working multiple people at the same time.
We call them living docs, I think, in our department.
So this, you're working off the last iteration. So if the whole class is working at once and somebody clicks save, they're happy. Everybody else is sad. Because when they try to click, they'll be like, you weren't working off the last version, too bad.
Or I accidentally deleted something. Is that a whole different
Actually,
thing?
no, that's fixable because under the how to grade section, what it does every time you click save is it creates a record. So as the teacher, I can go back to other versions and find things.
Oh, okay.
So if something's lost, I have access to it as a teacher.
Lovely.
It's anonymous. All you see on here is the last person who saved it. So I could go and change your writing so much, and it wouldn't necessarily show that it was me. And this is in some ways freeing, and in some ways people are a little uncomfortable with it. I find more often than not people are respectful of other people and don't really do major radical changes. And I haven't really had students come back later and say, oh my God, I can't believe somebody did this to my work. So I think that part's okay. What I think that aspect does is I think it draws out the student who we find talks more in an online class in the discussion boards than somebody who wouldn't raise their hand in class.
Yes.
They feel more free.
And it tends to be different types of students
and they
as well.
feel more free to critique. A lot of times we'll do peer review sessions and the students will be like, I saw this was wrong, but I wasn't sure how to put it. Well, if you can just go change it and they don't know it's you, I think they're a little more, willing to do it. So there's that. This is in our Blackboard Learn class, so it's not like a separate log in, log out. Sharing Google Docs always can be an adventure, right? You don't have permission, but I was invited, but you have to ask for it, yeah. So we don't have that. And it also is all in your grading. You can grade it more easily because it's in Blackboard. So there's the capacity to go through and see what people have done. I found that grading it was the hardest part because it's not very intuitive. So if anybody has questions about how to do the grading, they can reach out to me.
Okay.
But it will tell them it'll tell you on a given assignment who participated, how many times they saved, how many words they changed. So there's that information. You can look up a particular student and see which pages they saved and how many times and how many words were changed on it, whether added or deleted. And you can click on any of these iterations and it'll show you the changes that were made to the document through highlighting. But if somebody's done like 10 saves, then you're going to have to click on 10 things to see all of their work, which is a little labor intensive.
A little daunting.
But some of the things that are nice about it is it doesn't have the hierarchy that you have in a discussion thread. So you can have engagement without having all that clicking and all that, looking at what everybody else has written. And sometimes too, if you're looking in a discussion thread in different modes, it'll show it to you in different order, which isn't necessarily helpful. Whereas this, you can just kind of go in and there's one document that's there that they're all contributing to, so they're all equal. So there's that. And also, I think being able to integrate the visuals is really useful. This is a dorm review that the students do. And we're in an English class, so when I first said do a dorm review, they went out and they wrote descriptions. When you get off this floor on your left, there's 6 doors on the left and 6 doors on the right. And so then when they came back, I said, why didn't you use a visual? It's a wiki, you can use a visual.
Okay.
And we looked at how people are doing that in the world around them, and they thought, oh, yeah, these people who are advertising apartments have, really cool graphics and have pictures and have nice illustrations. Some of them you can even click on and say, I want to live in a single or I want to live in a double, and it'll give you the different price range.
So kind of like using the wiki almost opens up these writers to a little bit of exposure to multimedia.
And I think there's a conflict in our freshmen especially between them as visual consumers and them as people who produce visually. I don't think they have those skill sets. And I think they're very ingrained with writing, so I think it's important to be teaching those commingled together. So this is one place that you can do that. This is a review of restaurants where, again, they have the option. I was talking to my 23-year-old yesterday before coming here. I can't tell you how many times on Facebook I see a picture of her dinner that she's about to eat. They hardly post the food at all. They'll sometimes post a picture at the restaurant. I don't understand that. Again, I think there's a difference between what they do academically and what they're doing personally, but I think at some point they need to kind of get closer together.
And that's what this enables you to do, right?
This is one way to do that, correct,
okay.
Yes. And so another thing I have them do is I have them share their notes so they can contribute to a communal note form. You can create discussion study groups even, where they just add notes and things. I've had them sign up for topics and assignments for workshops that they want to give. I've had them do various things where they post the division of labor model, and then we can go back and talk about it in class about how those don't always mesh in terms of writing style, and how those are things they need to think about when they get to the workplace, about looking at a model and trying to figure out how you can fit your own style into that. Some of the chief complaints I've actually heard from students, most of them like it. I have a couple students every term who think they're really good writers and they like the voice that they've found inside themselves, just a little creative, a little personalized. Meshing that with other people is often challenging for them, and they feel like it's a loss. It's been interesting to see that and have them confront that while they still have the opportunity to think about career-wise, how are they going to have to be writing collaboratively and how is that going to influence it? How are they going to have to think about branding and identity? When you write now for public consumption, oftentimes things will have to be going through various levels of approvals, including branding if you're in a commercial venture, which is where people get paid. So, and in my own writing, a lot of times if it's something commercial, it's going to have approvals. And so even though I have an English PhD, I may be getting edits back from somebody who has a bachelor's but knows that company's branding.
Understandable. Now that happens with video production as well.
Exactly.
Clients edit stuff.
And in any field, you're going to have to...
You have experts.
You have to both modify yourself for the field, and you also have to modify yourself to be part of that community. So it helps to teach some of those skills early on. Most of our students come into freshman writing, and they're really stuck on the fact that they're writing a 5-paragraph essay for their teacher. Teaching them that they're writing for the real world while they're freshmen and not thinking about the real world they're going to be in quite so much.
How do you think this applies to, because obviously you're dealing with writers, so this is a really good tool for writers. How do you think something like this would apply to maybe students that aren't necessarily learning to write, like being English writers, but maybe like School of Nursing or engineering?
Because we were just talking about how the nursing students struggle to write. So you can embed some of these things in your online portion of your class where you can foster this community of writers where it's not necessarily something that you as a teacher need to even be interfacing in, that they can kind of share with each other. What ideas are you working on for your assignment? What are some of the struggles you're having? How can you collaboratively work on writing, giving critiques to each other? Those kinds of things. So you can embed some of these in your non-English writing classes.
So how would, if I was a faculty member and I wanted to incorporate this, where would I go to learn how to do this? It's just wiki, like you said, it's a wiki. So you go to wiki and there's tutorials there, or?
I just sort of started experimenting personally. Okay. There's not a lot of training through IRT about how to use the wiki tool specifically, and so I've just kind of experimented a lot with it. One of the things that was really interesting this term, which we just finished, I have my students write reflective pieces. Some of them actually were reflecting, saying, this assignment shouldn't actually have been a wiki, it should have been a discussion board, or it didn't need to be. And I was so amazed with the fact that they were thinking critically about what is the mode of communication that they're using and what are some of the pros and cons of each. So I was really excited to get that feedback and to learn and grow myself. And again, it's that same community of writers and learners that we're all working together and we're all contributing to each other. So I thought that was really interesting. And I think maybe just finding other people who are like-minded. They can certainly reach out to me. I'd love to talk to people about how they can use wikis. I just thought it was really interesting that we had this tool and nobody really seemed to be using it, so I started exploring it.
Great. Well, and the idea of like collaborating and trying to just play with, like we have the tech lending library, just playing with new technology and seeing what's out there and experimenting. That's what Anne's doing in the English department. So that's wonderful. Well, thank you very much, Anne.
Thank you.
All right, everyone. I think this concludes our Collaboratory. Looks like everybody's pretty much wrapped up and gone home to play with more technology. So, again, I'm Kristian Reid, your host, the Director of Multimedia Services in the Learning Technologies Group. I hope you enjoyed the webcast, and we'll see you at next Collaboratory. Cheers.